Hello and welcome back to our continuing adventures on the Let's Defend platform. Today we are in the incident responder aspect of Let's Defend, looking to run through another DFIR exercise. So we're going to start with I know the log for JRCE is the latest and greatest, but I'm going to go back to the oldest and work our way forward. Also because the fact time of recording, it's the 18th, and I've been dealing with Log4j for over a week now, and I'm kind of over it. So we are going to then look at the September 4th, 2021 at 8:08 p.m. SOC155 suspicious SSH login, EventID 104, type unauthorized access. So it looks like we're dealing with a PreProd system at 192.168.10.25. Username is letsdefend. The L1 note. In the investigation, I found that SSH brute force attempts were made from more than one IP address to the system, and one of them successfully logged in. Later, in other investigations I made, I saw that there was access to an external C2 server from the relevant machine. Okay, well, we have the IP address, so let's go ahead and go dump into log management. Let's take a look there before we take ownership. So we're going to take a look with using the system's address is the source. Oops, clear button. This looks like this has changed a little bit since last I did this. Okay, nothing there, so let's put it as the destination. Okay, we got firewall, all on the 4th, all from the same address. Yes? No. We got 443. Same day, a little bit later. Okay, so these are 22, so it would be SSH root and a password, root and another password, root and another password, admin and a yeah, so they're definitely trying combinations. And then let's defend, and let's defend with a different password. And we got Sept on 443, undefined. Okay, so we're going to jot down in my notes that 188, 58, 65, 203 was attempting brute force. And that 80, 13, 19, 151 was doing traffic over 443 to 192.168.10.25, all with a bunch of undefined stuff, which doesn't help us much. So let's go ahead and take a look. So starting off in Talos just to see, it's a Turkish IP address, is the 188. Poor email rep and it's on Spamhouse's list. Alien Vault just has it, it's a turkey, doesn't look like it's been seen anywhere. And then nothing for that. So let's just go ahead and let's go to Shodan and see what Shodan's got it for it. No result found. Well, alrighty then. So basically all we have is basically what looks like a spamming or a spammy IP address. So let's go ahead and work this one. Okay, this is the other one. This is the 80, 13, 19, 151 that was doing 443. So we've got port 22, 53, 80. Butt ton of ohms. It's running HTTPD. VPN apparently. Wait, did I? Oh, DOI specific use. I'm like, wait, DOJ? Over in France? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's walk it through the other sources. So IBM X-Force, denoted for spam. Was it bots previously? No, dynamic. Bots and spam in October. Okay, let's continue working forward. Temporary redirect. But it's not in anything else, okay? Talos, you got anything? Just another one that's poor email rep and on Spamhouse's crap list. IP void. It's the other one we can take a look and use as tool. Oh wait, I'm looking for blacklisting. It's on 5 of 15 blacklists. Okay, well that tells us something. Barracuda, Host Karma, Just Spam, S5, HBL. Okay, so it definitely exists on a bunch of crap lists. Although I'm a little bit more interested in the fact of why we didn't get much of anything off of SSH. So let's go ahead and we need to find PreProd now. And take a look at the individual logs that are there on the box. PreProd by the Peepor. PreProd, there it is. Okay, so let's take a look at the browser history. ResearchGate. Mining web to detect phishing URLs. I wonder if these are actually legit. Google content. So we're looking for anything that would be. This is what? On the 4th? 0915? Yeah, these don't look like they're organized, but that's okay. Oh 0921, 0924, 0906, so that's a few days afterwards. Looks like it's a Google Doc of some sort. On the 1st. OpenShift apps. BD journal on the 5th. Okay, that's, oh, here we go. Ooh, Facebook, yep, okay, yep, burn the system down. I joke, I joke. W3 schools. Try SS or CSS line height. Stack Overflow questions. Reading CSV zipped files in Python. HackerRank.com. Another one for Facebook for an outside. MrTechMyth.net. Udemy hackers create malware, infiltrate victim machines. $100 off coupon code. Some weird crap. Wait, if this is supposed to be a server, why in the hell are people web browsing on it? Something's kind of funky. Markov mode, or Markov model to predict URL count after 10 days. That was on September 4th. Here we go, 0409-2021, Google. Search client Firefox. Multi-label classification for logistic regression. Scikit-learn. And none of this here really kind of screams out that was going on. Okay, so browser history is not going to help us. Command history. Now we got something. Okay, let's make note of that. Command history. The important aspects. So someone kicked off netcat to listen on port 443, which is exactly what we observed with that traffic from 80.13.19.151. So we're definitely piecing this together by the looks of it. Okay, let's just do this. We are going to search for 0409 2021. Alright, so we got, and then I'm just gonna do this. Network connections. And I just want to grab everything here just to confirm that we're not missing anything. Next one. And we'll check those IP addresses to see if anything shakes out. So 216.58.206.164. And then we've got another one at 10 after. That's our 151. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking 180. Okay, well, we got more to take a look at. Although surprisingly enough, these weren't actually in the logs themselves on the network side. So it could be an oversight, something that just did not make it in. And then we have our 80, 13, so on and so forth. So it's 2015 at the time frame? Okay. I have the appropriate connections logged. None of these really stand out and scream that, yes, the badness is from them. I mean, we can kind of easily piece together by what the network picked up. Google servers. Just do a quick check with Talos, and we'll do Alien Vault. I think I'm going to get better results from them than I would with IBM X-Force, but I could be wrong. Bunch of Google stuff. Not that that's a surprise. So I'm going to go back to my notes, which of course is off screen, and I am just going to put in brackets next to the network connection, Google. Okay, so now we got 151. Vastly. I mean, don't they do like CDN for like large portion of the internet now? Looks like a lot of Stack Overflow. Probably what they're sitting in front of. Or Stack Exchange. Interestingly enough, antivirus detections. Huh. But I am fairly certain that that is CDN. What is Fastly? American Cloud Computing Services Provider. It describes its network as Edge Cloud Platform. So what? Fastly operates what's known as a Content Delivery Network, or CDN. Yeah, okay, so it's a CDN, so of course we're going to see that crap in there. Okay, so we're just going to come over and we're just going to mark that as Fastly-CDN. Okay. So this is the 80 is our backdoor user. And what about the 157? Interestingly enough, I did not see any mentions in there in regards to 188. Is this another Fastly or something else? Facebook. Ugh. Yeah, I'm not big on Facebook. But it still makes me wonder. 188. It's not showing up in the network connections list. You would think that it would have recorded that, but well, whatever. Process list, what do we have? Got it. So it's just a simple backdoor listener once they were able to sit there and pop in. Okay, well, so we know that they basically kicked off. So it looks like we then have SSH was brute forced and successfully logged in from 188.58.65.203, which then led to them setting up at 2014 the NC space dash L. So netcat listen on port 443 and then basically kick off bin sh to give a shell, to in which then we see them kick that and connect a minute later at 2015. So what was the time then, according to log management, that all this was going on? So let's do this. We have the disk. Let's just search for. Okay, nothing there. That's fine. Let's go back here. Make sure we're not missing anything. Whoa. And then on the 5th, on a bunch of different systems, looks like they tried brute forcing. Okay, so I just want to isolate it down to what we're dealing with here. It looks like we're going to have additional problems for the next lineup. So this tried to break in. So we're going to denote from 05, so 1707 to 1708. Okay, so basically it just sat there and whacked on it for a minute. And apparently it found the right password for let's defend in order to sit there and get in. I mean, because that is the last thing that... I'd love to know what they tried. Apparent successful SSH login of let's defend user. Okay. I think we're effectively ready to go back to endpoint and see. I kind of wonder as to whether or not if we actually even need to do the connection and dig through everything, because we've got all these portions here. I suppose you could be able to sit there and pull it in or log in, and you could see about trying to grab the hash for the Let's Defend user, and maybe it'd be something you could reverse engineer to see how weak it actually was. Okay, so I'm gonna pause it here. Basically spin this sucker up. At the same time, what I'll probably do is let's go ahead and go back. We'll put that one in the forefront. And just make sure, yes, let's go ahead and take ownership as per what we do. Because more than likely it's going to sit there and want. External C2 server from the relevant machine. So I'm assuming that's going to point out that 80.13.19.151. Although nothing else seems to indicate that it's C2. But given the fact that we don't have anything else that we can pull from that traffic, it's all just undefined. I think that it looks fairly on the mark. But okay, so let me get this spun up then on PreProd, and we'll take a look at the logs and just see if everything stands out. Okay, so I was a little bit cheeky. I'm doing it off screen on the system, and no, you really wouldn't do this, especially if you're just going to sit there and follow forensics process. We effectively would have sat there and done a memory dump of the box and then collected a hard drive image and then worked off that portion. Now, I don't have the option to sit there or I don't have physical access to this thing to be able to go through and do it. So, knowing the fact that it would basically spin up in the same state, installed John the Ripper, then used the unshadow to go through and basically combine the passwd and the shadow file together into a .db file, and then basically just took the contents of that, dumped it over onto one of my rigs, and basically letting it run through so I can sit there and see about trying to figure out the password for Let's Defend. Interestingly enough, the password for analyst, 123. So I'm surprised that that wasn't popped as opposed to Let's Defend, but hey. So I'm going through to try to take a look at the log files that are here. And so inside of /var/log, the auth.log and auth.log.1 all have stuff for like September 19th, which is now the time that I pick this back up. So that's interesting. Yeah, still waiting on that to go through and brute force it. But inside the var/log, there is a .2.gz file for the auth log. So I've just run gone to the directory, done sudo gzip -d, and then the auth.log.2.gz that extracts out to an auth.log.2. Oops, I just realized I had this. Okay. Say this again. Because I paused it. So it's been, I don't know, 12, 18 hours since I started doing the recording. Installed John the Ripper on the box, which of course you wouldn't do if this was a full-on investigation, but you do the RAM or copy the RAM and make a forensically safe or sound image of the hard drive, and you'd work from a copy of that image. But knowing that the system would go back to the same state once I reconnect, so I installed John the Ripper, did the unshadow, grabbed the resulting file from merging the passwd file and the shadow file together. I've got that running through John the Ripper, Waiting for the password to be found out for Let's Defend, although interestingly enough, the password for the analyst user is 123, so very interesting on that. Not good password practices. And so what we have is there's an inside of var/log, there's an auth.log, auth.log.1, which we've seen in some of the previous DFIR exercises we've gone through. These were all showing stuff dated for like December 19th. So the day that I start this, or reconnect to this Linux box, current day. But inside there was an auth.log.2.gz. So I did the sudo gzip-d and then the gz file, which extracted out to an auth.log.2. And so basically I'm just doing sudo cat auth.log.2 vertical line, I forget what that's called, grep 188.58.65.203, which is the address we observed going through and hitting the SSH stuff. And we find that effectively there was a successful login finally from that IP at like 8:11. So that very last line that's there. Can I actually highlight that to make it a little bit easier to see? Accepted password for Let's Defend from 188.58.65.203 port 51855 SSH2. So they managed to pop it in that way, which is kind of what we knew. So the other aspect to take a look at is, what was our other attacker? Was the 80-53-19-151. Let's see what shakes out from there. Apparently nothing. Well, okay then. And now comes the real fun part. So it would be all the authentication logs. So what about this D message? Kern. I suppose I could sit there and take a look at like the syslog to see if anything else like that shakes out. Of course, that makes me wonder as to whether or not if it's going to be the same type of thing. Yeah, December 19th. So it's all stuff that's effectively here. So let's go ahead and let's extract the syslog and just see as to whether or not if anything stands out. So sudo gzip-d syslog.2.gz. That does its thing. And we have a syslog.2. So if we do sudo cat syslog.2, and then we're going to grep yet again for the two IP addresses in question that we have interest in. So let's do back to the first one, 188.58.65.203. I think we have enough to... Nothing there. Okay, that's fine. We're just covering our bases. So the next one, 80, 13, 19, 151. Nothing there either. Okay, well. Let's see, password for Ubuntu. Okay, that's we don't care about that. It looks like most of that does contain all of the Yeah, so it doesn't show anything that's in there. But, I mean, we kind of already know what's going on. No, do not save. What is it, H-top? Ooh, the extra fancy one. I just want to see as to whether or not if there's anything in here that denotes the what we found from the process list looking at it. The at 2014, the NC space dash L space dash P space 443 space dash E space slash bin slash SH. I don't see anything that pretty much spells out the fact. All right. Do we have there's not a cron log in here at all? Alternatives, Amazon, APT, cloud int output, cloud int. But yeah, no cron. Oh, I'm trying to remember. What is it? etc cron. Nothing? R spool. Okay, something there. Is it a folder? I never remember. R spool cron. Oops. Then what we're left with is what? AT jobs? Apparently nothing there. And then AT spool. Okay, fine. We have root. Oh, what is it? Oh. Can we output the contents by cat? Port 8080. Sudo ls /root/ssl Update.sh. Okay, can we cat that just to make sure? Okay, so that looks like all stuff that I would kind of expect to see. Oh. AUXWW. Effectively, we would be looking for something that would be kicked off that would be from Let's Defend. Since that was the account that was popped. Although it would have to be like a password that would be found, would have been found somewhere. It's the only thing that makes any sort of sense. Oh, that's what it was. Cron tab dash L. I don't know if this actually will work. Oh, we'd want to take a look. Sudo cron tab dash U for let's defend dash L. No cron tab. So what, did they not establish persistence just short of knowing what the SSH? So let's see as to whether or not if any other users were created. realistically, I'd want to sit there and know what the default set of user accounts would be. But I would assume we would see something after analyst and let's defend. If something else was created. Did we have, all we have is a W temp. Instead of that, can we do so I'm assuming somewhere in this mess of stuff I will start seeing something from either 188 or 80 dot. So move on to analysts, something that would mention let's defend. Like right there. So we got 188 and then there's let's defend. Guess I need to kind of go back and review the IR training stuff on the Linux. It looks like analyst kicks in, so one more log section. But again, really not any closer to understanding what the persistence mechanism would have been. Well, I would say it would be on point with what we expect. I mean, they were able to if they guessed the password. Although I would really love to know as to what the password is, so I think I'll just leave this thing running. But it does not look like there's anything else here. I mean, there's me, analyst, today. Ubuntu was July 14th. We saw with everything getting stood up. Root never logged in. So it doesn't look like they made another user account. They probably just expected that thing to stay. Analyst and Ubuntu, but then we don't have what a directory for Do this. Do it as sudo. No. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of at an impasse here. I mean, it looks like they didn't really establish any sort of persistence. They just SSH'd in as letsdefend, the user account, and then ran the command for you know what? Not last log. home/letsdefend. But yet it doesn't show up. No such file or directory. Let's do this. /home/ no such. Though that is exactly as how it's spelled out, right? letsdefend. Doesn't exist. Interesting. Okay, I think we have what is this? Netstat? Just want to see open ports. I suppose something else without actually using that stat. Do we have, whoa, whoa, whoa. Run it as sudo if it gives you anything else. Yes, it looks like it stopped. So no persistence, either that or they've moved on. I'm just looking for anything that makes mention of netcat or 443. I mean, if it was 4433, maybe, but that's it. That's it. Yes, it looks like it's done. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's go back here. Start the playbook. It definitely appears to be true positive. They were able to guess it. Let's start the flow. External network. Check the reputation. Because I don't think that there was anything on here that basically said and there's the 80. Let's go back. That's not the right one. 151.69. Oh, that was the Fastly one I was looking at. That's right. So is the 188 on the shit list? That was the Turkey one. That, I think, was pretty much clean except for an email rep. Which I think that's the one that we're, yeah, so everything seems to indicate that it is not on anybody's shit list, although it should be on this organization's shit list now. It's on one blacklist. Barracuda reputation. Oi. Well, everything is overwhelmingly. Has a critical system been affected? Well, I guess let's run through this all the way. So we're going to go ahead and terminate that to save them on some cost. Oh boy, log management. I mean, if we go to the following day, that there's obviously that much more, but if we were treating this as this fires off and we're immediately jumping in, yeah, it was all 22. It was only that one singular box. Then the question is, how do you determine if PreProd is a critical system or not? Is there a denotion? I mean, I wouldn't assume so because it's not saying that it's prod. It's not the web server. It's not the Exchange server. It's not Minecraft server. uh, I mean, it's none of the servers. It's an Ubuntu box. That's a client, not a server. So if we take a look at the mailbox, is there anything in here that talks about PreProd by chance? Search here. Nothing. Nothing. And of course, none of the emails are dated September. Oh, it has nothing to do with this one. Admin at letsdefend1.io. Giving away the password. Okay. I'm going to say no, not a critical system. PreProd looks like a desktop without knowing what's on there. I'm going to say no. Does the device need to be isolated? Well, it's been compromised, so I'm going to say yes. And we need to go through and actually do that. I mean, it's popped. I mean, I wouldn't want to sit there and bet anything on this. So, nuke and pave, new password, and figure out why PreProd has SSH, or why SSH is available from internet in onto this box. Yeah, we don't have the backup devices. See, we don't have any other real artifacts, anything else like that. What we need to do is change the password on Let's Defend user. How did it happen? Well, SSH was allowed to that box, and apparently the password for Let's Defend looks like it was able to be guessed in short order. So I don't know if there was like an exposure somewhere else or what the case would be. How did they perform dealing with the incident? So what, going off the L1 note? I mean, they were pretty much straight on the money. They picked up the brute force attempts and that there was a successful login, and then there was access to an external C2 from that machine. From that machine over port 443 to 80.13.19.151. What would staff management do differently next time? Go from password to cert based authentication for SSH. Maybe isolate SSH only to a handful of allowed IP addresses for it to come in and pop through, or if it doesn't need to be accessible over SSH from the internet at all, just entirely limit it to local network. What corrective actions can prevent it's the same thing. Firewall review at the perimeter, only allowing the services that absolutely need to be allowed through. Those that do need to be allowed through, isolate it down to IP addresses, change SSH from password to certificate. For similar incidents, SSH brute forcing. I mean, that would be the biggest thing. And then obviously watching the logs for any approved login from a web scanner or brute force or anything else like that. If they're actually going to be stupid enough just to sit there and use the same IP address to keep wailing on the wall. All right, so we're gonna have two IPs. So do we have anything else? I mean, don't have an email, don't have a URL, don't have an MD5 at all, because I wasn't able to actually take a look at the Let's Defend user. So I might be missing artifacts. Switch from password to cert. Huh. Didn't request a whole bunch of stuff in MITRE. But at least it kept all the info. So TruePop, really? Okay, there we go. Just reusing the same stuff that I've already noted to fill it. September 4th, 8. Apparently I got the marks for the results. Apparently wrong answers in terms of sensitive data at risk and critical system being affected. Which again seems a little bit arbitrary. But at least they give decent write-ups. So I would like to know as to how they identified. Failed passwords from auth log 1? I don't think that showed what we were looking for. Okay, so they showed the same exact thing. So let's defend from 188.58.65.203. Yeah, we caught all that. We confirmed it in the firewall logs. We caught the netcat, but it was just there visible in the connections, which then shows that. Containment, okay. Eradication. Oh, they're using it as the netcat stuff for the stuff to go out then. Patches, regular user passwords should be unpredictable to comply. Internet access to servers that do not need internet access can be turned off. Yeah, so kind of the same particular aspect. And then they give the MITRE aspect off of that. Huh. I might go back and take a look at that again and reconnect and take a look at that auth.log.1. Follow through to make sure that shows. So this is one of those interesting aspects. I mean, I'm assuming the other ones then didn't show any sort of actual login, but it's done. It's in the books. Although I still am kind of lost as to how you make the determination of it being a critical system or not. So I might have to ask them in regards to that as to, because if that's going to be a consistent question through all of these, we need to have it spelled out. What are the critical systems to the organization? One more thing to pull against. I mean, it's not like there's a server called Crown Jewels that we're sitting there trying to protect. That would be 100% absolutely, you know, this is a critical system. Depending on the organization, I mean, email may not even be a critical thing. So it's a little bit hard to make a determination off that aspect. But effectively, there you go. That was SOC155, suspicious SSH login, event ID 104, event time September 4th, 2021, 8:08 p.m. So, with all that being said, I will see everyone in the next video.